I mean, I can understand that we're at war with those countries, but sometimes it seems like we jump into the middle of things that aren't any of our business.
Oh, we get drug into them by somebody else saying, well, hey, they've got so-and-so. Okay, they got it. What do you want me to do about it? And we, in my opinion, this is my personal opinion, we've done that much that we've become the world's policeman. Well, they've got this going on. Let's call the United States. They'll go in. They'll do it. And we become the United Nations policeman. We become their watchdog. We become their whatever. They've got this. They've got that, yada, yada, yada. And it's just like with Jong Un. If I was president, I'd have looked at him and said, you do whatever you want to, but one of them comes this way, it's on. I'm going to leave you alone. You don't mess with us. We're good. And that's the way, in my opinion, that it should have been handled. Is you don't mess with me, I'm not going to mess with you. Because that's normally how we do things with our neighbors. I'm going to treat you with respect. Hopefully you'll treat me with respect. We're going to get along. We're going to agree to disagree when there are times that we'll disagree. And that's the way we should handle it. But we got to go stick our nose in where it doesn't belong, or because somebody said something, or because somebody did something. That's not how it works.
Yeah, it shouldn't be how it works at all, but you're right. Folks sometimes get too caught up in things of that nature. So what do you consider because you do these wonderful motivational minutes. So tell me how those came about, because it seems like I love the title of your name of your group, by the way, the Lone Wolf. But tell us how you came up with that name and also about this motivational minutes that you're doing.
Okay, here's how this all got. This is a hilarious story, and I've got somebody to back it up. Ex-wife number one used to tell my daughters stories on the way to and from school because it was such a long drive. Well, 20 years later, I'm working in elementary school. I'm like, well, I need to write these stories again. So I was trying to piece them together, and one of the ladies I work with wrote her own book, and she and I were talking, and she goes, well, you need to make it your own because you'll run into problems with crossing over or, using somebody else's idea. So I came up with my own stories and decided to use my youngest son and youngest daughter as the main characters. So every year in my elementary school where I teach, they have a author come in. Well, my first year there, we had Irene Smalls come in, who is an award-winning children's author. So everybody's like, well, Adams needs to go pick her up at the airport and talk to her because he's trying to write. He's written a book. He's trying to get it published, yada, yada, yada. So we go, the librarian and I go pick her up, and I'm, picking her brain, trying to get her to tell me how to get my book published, how to get an agent and everything like that. And driving through the back roads of North Carolina, and
keep telling your story. We got more people calling in today.
Anyway, when I taught middle school, they called me, I was a country boy, so they called me the redneck, and it got twisted around into the redneck billionaire. So the media specialist says, you need to tell Miss Smalls about your alter ego, the redneck billionaire. And I'm like, I'm not going to tell this African-American award-winning author about my little nickname because I grew up in the country. Irene Smalls goes, forget writing children's books. You need to write romance books because the 50 Shades of Grey was taken off. And, she's very adamant about that. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll start writing erotica romance. Well, what do I know about erotica romance? Well, not a lot. So, I got to find something else to do as I'm researching this. So that's what led me to writing motivational stuff, was I was trying to motivate my students and trying to get them to write as I'm, I also have ADD, so the different genres help me focus. So in writing the motivational stuff, I came up with a positive, productive person. Well, I wanted to use P cubed. Well, somebody has that, so I had to look at something else. And one of my favorite actors, I can't even think of his last name. Anyway, Dale Chill, what is it? I cannot think of his last name. I hate that. But anyway, he's Triple P on NCIS New Orleans, so I said we can't use that. So that's how I came up with P to the D3 is P to the third power, which is a positive, productive person. So that's where all of the motivational minute came with, I've got to do something that's inspirational. So all of that came together as a result of Irene Smalls telling me I need to write something else, because I've got to, with my mind going so many different places, I've got to find myself focused on a different thing, and I can just switch when one of them gets boring. And with motivating my special needs students, I was like, okay, I've got to come up with something that's quick, fast, boom, get their attention. So, and my daughter is my camera person. She's the one that records them, and we'll do 10 or 15 on a weekend that she's with me, and I try to get them all in the first take. I know exactly what I'm going to say. Boom. And she times me, and she starts nodding her head at 45 seconds, so we keep them under a minute, or keep them around a minute. So that's how all of it came about. The Lone Wolf is, I went to North Carolina State. Their mascot is the Wolf, and they spells it W-U-F, Mr. and Mrs. Wolf. So that's where the Wolf is in. So,
cool. I love it. I love the way you came up with those names and everything. Crystal, are you still on the line?
I'm still here with you.
Okay, we got some other people coming in as well in the conversation, but you are also an author, so I was just wondering what your thoughts are on Mr. Trey's attempts at writing, and some of how you got into the author shit of being an author, because you are an author as well.
I just really love to write, and for me, it started at a young age with some of the experiences that I had. I didn't have anybody to talk to, so I just used to write them out. And so writing for me has always been an escape. And as of lately, as I've crossed 40, it's become a way for me to kind of do a mind purge and to dump everything into one place, because if I leave it in my mind, it might not be there by the end of the day.
I understood that. I definitely can understand that for sure. And y'all are still young people. You, Dean, I'm thinking even Trey are young. I'm 56, about to be 57, so y'all don't need to talk to me about age. Y'all are young. Y'all are babies. Dean, I think we got the other two, or maybe one of the other two on the other line, so I want to bring them in as well if we can.
We actually have two. We have Kelli Johnson and Ingrid Levine standing by.
I appreciate it. That's why I was looking for both of them. So I'll start with Kelli, because we're having this wonderful group discussion. So Kelli, and then I'm going to get to Ingrid as well. But Kelli, if you're there with me, Kelli is a fellow podcaster, by the way, and Kelli's got a thing called Separate Cinema. And, we just had the Oscars, so I wanted Kelli to call to give her impressions of what happened at the Oscars, because we definitely were represented at the Oscars. I mean, we had, the first two, I think the first costume designer ever that was African-American, and maybe a production person as well that was African-American. I think both of those were for Black Panther, if I remember correctly.
You are correct.
So, Kelli, are you with me?
Yes, I am. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you, Kelli. So tell us all about you, and also a little bit about what you thought of the Oscars, because the Oscars were on yesterday, and we're going to continue some of those other conversations as well, but I did want to bring that in also because that was the big event of last night.
So as you said, I just recently launched my podcast with Separate Cinema. It's about reviews and analyses of the films that helped shape Black Hollywood. And a lot of these movies are movies that I haven't seen before, mostly because I was too young to watch them growing up. But now that I'm an adult, I can watch whatever I want. And I thought that it would be a great idea for a podcast. So somehow, some way, I became a student of film, and this is my life now.
Before we get to the Oscar stuff, what is one of the movies that you couldn't watch as a kid that you are now watching as a young adult that you're so glad that you're able to watch? Because I know there were some movies that were probably, maybe they were a little bit on the raunchy side or whatever. That's probably why you couldn't watch them. But to name a movie that you couldn't watch when you were a kid that you are now glad that you can watch, that's a historical movie.
So my last episode was actually about the birth of a nation, which I don't think anyone should watch ever. But I think the subject matter, when I was a kid, was definitely like way too much for me. Also, I don't really enjoy silent films. The 1915 film, not the 2016 film, just to clarify. And I got to watch it, and I got to see what all the fuss was about, and I can say that I was greatly disappointed. But I'm glad that I was able to form my own opinion.
So all the hype, it didn't live up to all that historical hype, huh?
It did not at all.
She's sitting there going like, what the heck was the matter with these people back in the 1920s? This movie is not good at all.
No, it wasn't.
Well, at least you're honest about it. Now, what did you get a chance to watch any of the celebration and the Oscars yesterday? I know one of the big things was the fact that there was no host.
Well, I actually thought that the hostless setup worked really well. We got to see a whole bunch of different people, a whole bunch of different personalities. Maya Rudolph is always a hit. She's always one of my favorites. Melissa McCarthy, also always a hit. Awkwafina and John Mulaney, they were also perfect. So, I think it actually worked out for them because we got to see a whole bunch of different people as opposed to one person.
Now, was there anybody that won that shocked you? Because, I've heard a lot of people were shocked that Green Room won for Best Picture because when I've talked to friends, they said it's not the best movie. I've not seen it yet, but I've had several friends that have been like, they're still trying to figure out how it won because even though it's set in civil rights times and it has a major African-American character, they didn't feel it was a well-done movie. So I was wondering, were you shocked that it won or was there something else that might have shocked you?
I was definitely shocked that Green Book won. I thought that it was going to be either Black Klansman or Roma. I wanted it to be Black Klansman. And I didn't see the Green Book until Saturday night. And I actually enjoyed it. I didn't rush out to go see it because I thought it was going to be like one of these weird like white savior films, and I don't really consume that type of media, especially ones with like a historical narrative. I don't really like consume those movies. So I didn't rush out to see it, but I found it to be a pretty decent movie. Was it the best movie of last year? Absolutely not. But I thought it was a pretty good movie.
So you weren't too disappointed with it. Now, a lot of people were very happy that Spike finally won an award. So that was good to see. And you mentioned Black Klansman earlier, and that was part of the reason that he won. So it was good to see that with his long history of movies that they finally gave him some solid recognition.
Oh, yeah. And when he ran up on stage and told them to don't start the clock, I was like, you do your thing, Spike. You talk your talk. Like, don't take this moment, relish it. I loved it. I was so excited and so happy for him.
Yeah, speaking of folks that use the moment for a good cause and we're just using it for good things, I was really pleased. We always talk about who's taking who in terms of their dates to the Oscars or the Grammys or whatever the award shows are, but it was really good seeing Regina King take her mom and celebrate her mom. So that was really a real positive thing, the way that she came out there and just really honored her mom by taking her mom as her date.
Oh, yeah, I always think that was, like, really cute. First of all, they both looked amazing. Regina King is definitely, I'm so glad that she's getting her flowers while she can still smell them because she was a phenomenal actress. She was amazing, and if Beale Street could talk. Yeah, I loved it. I love her so much.
Now, I'm going to bring Ingrid in as well. Ingrid, are you there with me? Dean?
Sir, go ahead. I'm listening.
I was saying, could you bring Ingrid in if she's still there?
I sure can. Give me 1 second.
Bass players, best thing you can do for your overall sound. You've got to see this. New Basstone Incorporated makes Nightwalker bass guitar tube preamps. This preamp will give your sound such a boost, it's just incredible. Try it today. Try it today now. A great sounding bass guitar will make for a great sounding band. Make your band sound at its best. Best thing you can do for your bass guitar sound. NewBassTone.com. NewBassTone.com.
And we are back. Ingrid, you're on the line with Straight Talk with Dana Mark.
How are you? Thank you for having me.
I appreciate having you, Ingrid. It's great to have you on here. Ingrid, we've got two other motivational speakers that are on the line with us. And when I think of you, I don't know if you necessarily consider yourself a motivational speaker, but your blog is so motivational. When I looked at Ingleson Madison Avenue and I'm seeing you give all this solid advice to women to just people in general. I'm like, if she's not doing motivational speaking, she needs to do it. But I know that you give a lot of advice on travel and romance and relationships and things of that